real time as possible. But with these things as well, when Mallory goes on these journeys, there's an element of risk that he takes, risk. So if he's dealing with a lower level, the risk is always that he might lose his life, but he's willing to give that ultimate sacrifice. But he'll only risk that, at one third, for example. Then if on the yacht, he's so close, he finds out that he's so close to the top that he's still reckless to a point where it's like a half that he's being really, really reckless. And then when he gets to the top, he's willing to actually sacrifice absolutely everything. So he's just making sure that when he does this, it's almost a suicide mission that he goes on, but knowing that he could have a great chance of getting off. And if he finds a reason to get off because there's another objective to be done, then they do what he can to keep himself alive. But he almost goes into combat thinking, if this is my last day, it's my last day.
Yeah, it's an extraordinary action scene, and you couldn't have written it, in my view, without having your background, which is why it feels so real. But one of the things I'm curious about is that Mallory, so when he links up with Oceane, the granddaughter of the French foreign legion guy, the girl he's trying to save, and she's very beautiful, and there's this kind of like frisson of attraction and growing.
He doesn't go there.
He doesn't go there. But I was kind of disappointed. But that's I think for a sequel. But when he links up with her in Paris, he takes her with him to Marseille. She's there at his side, and it cuts both ways because he's trying to protect her by keeping her close. But by keeping her close, she's in danger. So just talk about that dynamic. How does that kind of pan out?
Yeah, so his initial thing is to protect her because she's. He doesn't want to put any more aggro, shall we say, onto the grandfather, any more stress onto the grandfather. So he initially takes her with her, sort of, I'd say, uses her more as a tool, just there to keep her safe. But then he uses her for, she's almost a calming influence on him. She's calculated, she's smart, she's everything that you need in a situation, a high octane situation, that actually will help you keep your head and not be so reckless. So as Mallory finds this out, it's gone from wanting to protect her to her actually not protecting him, but giving him this calming reason, this calming voice, this non-recklessness that he needs to be in order to execute what he needs to execute at the highest order. So it flips where Oceane is really, he can't really be anywhere without her afterwards. It's like, right, it's not only can you keep an eye on her and protect her, but she brings out the best in him, which he's never really had, what he's never had before. So he finds that he's functioning and operating even better. And then he's got that purpose behind it of keeping her safe and protecting her, because there is that emotional connection there. It's like when you go into battle with your pals. You've got that emotional connection is there, and it makes you a better soldier. It makes you a better person, because it no longer becomes when you go into combat. I've got a mission to do, and when I was my very first 5-10 missions that I went on, it's very much individual, get the job. Then you realise that your pal's saving your life. You're saving their lives, and when you go into combat, you're covering their arcs, they're covering your arcs. You're no longer focused fully on yourself, and that's such a powerful bond to have. It's such a powerful emotional connection to have, that actually keeps you alive I believe it keeps you alive in the battlefield, and it gets you through to the next fight. And that's the transition that happens with Mallory, with Oceane. She becomes this emotional connection that's so good for his emotions. It helps him through a lot, and he almost relies on her towards the end.
Yeah, that's a brilliant explanation.